Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
Welcome back to Battles and Miracles of War with your hosts, Bang and Dang, as we finally wrap up the year of 1863 with the final two battles of 1863 and roll on into 1864. But that'll be the next episode because there's only two battles on this episode, which are Bean Station and Mossy Creek.
Decent ones, though.
Yeah, decent little two battles here to end it out. But before you go do that and listen to us, go to our YouTube page right now at Bang Dang Network.
Do it now.
Give us a subscription.
And come back.
Right. Give us a subscription. We do shorts, clips, our YouTube exclusive Dart League, plus full podcast episodes the same day they come out on podcast apps. So if you are a YouTube person, go over there. If not, you're listening on your podcast apps, give us a review.
And listen to that chilling thriller of a story from Lee and Corey for Halloween. Boy, that had me scared.
Sure. At Bang Dang Network. On whatever platform, really. Podcast apps or YouTube, Bang Dang Network. That's where you find us. Leading out today, Bean Station, December 14th, 1863, Granger County, Tennessee, during the Knoxville campaign. As you can imagine, I believe Longstreet's still at it.
He's still trying to get...
Yeah, he's here. He's here.
Still trying to do some shit.
Though it was part of the Confederacy, many of East Tennessee's inhabitants remained loyal to the Union. Political pressure was put on Abraham Lincoln's administration of the Senate Federal Army to occupy the region. When military men looked at the problem, they saw how difficult it would be to maintain an army over 200 miles of poor roads. Nevertheless, Burnside was appointed commander of the Army of Ohio with both the 9th Corps and the 23rd Corps in order to undertake the invasion of East Tennessee from Kentucky. So we need you to take it.
Do it now. 3rd of June, 1863, 9th Corps was called away to help with the siege of Vicksburg, which delayed Burnside's plans. During this time, the Confederate invasion of the North was defeated at the Battle of Gettysburg, and the Union captured Vicksburg, securing control of the Mississippi River. And two of the biggest battles, and then another one that happened after that.
Chickamauga. And before that was Chancellorsville.
All right.
Same year, though. Couple months apart.
Yep, 16th August. Burnside advanced 18,000 troops of the 23rd Corps, entered East Tennessee by way of Kingston. Burnside's infantry occupied Knoxville on September 3rd. Received a surrender of the Confederate garrison at Cumberland Gap on the 9th of September, 1863.
Subsequently, Burnside drove the local Confederate forces northeast towards Virginia. The Union defeat at the Battle of Chickamauga on September 19th through the 20th caused Burnside to move most of his strength southwest to defend Knoxville. Meanwhile, 6,000 men from the 9th Corps arrived in East Tennessee to reinforce Burnside. On November 14th, Union forces were attacked by Longstreet's Corps, which was detached from General Braxton Bragg's Army of Tennessee near Chattanooga, which pretty much has been the last few episodes is Longstreet and his escapades.
If the old Raps would have got Gettysburg and Vicksburg,
War would probably be over by now. Probably not.
I don't know about over, but it'd be a hell of a lot different than what it is now.
Well, clearly, because they would have actually invaded the North if they would have won at Gettysburg.
You ain't kidding. It might have been over.
Maybe.
After the Battle of Campbell Station on 16th November, Burnside's troops withdrew in good order within the defenses of Knoxville, where they were besieged by Longstreet's old rebels. 25th November, Major General Grant, he routed Bragg's army at the Battle of Missionary Ridge. Soon afterward, Grant sent Sherman with a large army to relieve Knoxville. At its approach, Longstreet withdrew on the 4th of December to the northeast. Sherman left Major General Gordon Granger and the 4th Corps with Burnside and returned to Chattanooga with the remainder of his army. Burnside was relieved at his request and replaced in command of the Army of the Ohio by Major General John Foster on the 11th of December. He said, "Can I leave, please?"
So no more Burnside, huh? Well, before retreating, Longstreet held a council of war with his subordinates. It was determined not to rejoin Bragg's army, since the route through the mountains to Dalton, Georgia, was too difficult. However, Major General Lafayette McLaws recommended that Longstreet remain in East Tennessee in order to encourage the inhabitants who were pro-Confederate.
Right.
December 5th, Longstreet's troops reached Blaine's Crossroads, about 18 miles northeast of Knoxville, where they rendezvoused with the division of Major General Robert Ransom, Jr. The Confederate force paused at Rutledge until December 8th, then continued to Rogersville, where it halted from the 9th to the 14th.
Oh, really? Many Longstreet soldiers hoped to return back to Virginia and were disappointed to remain in Old Tennessee. Because the men were poorly supplied during the retreat, they plundered local farmers with a heavy hand.
Jeez.
Brigadier General Bushrod Johnson reported that desertion was a problem in his Tennessee brigade.
They don't want to be in They don't want to be in Tennessee. They want to go back home, man.
5th December, Burnside ordered his cavalry to pursue Longstreet. On 7th of December, Burnside's infantry left Knoxville under the command of Old Park.
All right, each man left his knapsack behind and only carried 60 rounds of ammunition, half a shelter tent, and scanty provisions. Some of the artillery was left behind because of a lack of horses to pull the guns. Granger's men, exhausted by their march from Chattanooga, were left to garrison Knoxville. Shackelford's cavalrymen followed the retreating Confederates, picking up about 150 stragglers by the time they reached Bean Station December 9th. That day, Park's infantry halted at Rutledge, about 9 miles southwest of Bean Station.
Okay. The badly provisioned feds were unable to go any farther because Longstreet's soldiers had stripped the countryside of food. Foster arrived in Knoxville on 11th December and assumed command of the Army of the Ohio that following day. 10th of December, Confederate President Jefferson Davis gave Longstreet authority over all troops in East Tennessee. Word reached Longstreet on the 12th that Sherman's army was headed back to Chattanooga. He learned that Park was no longer pursuing his forces, and the old rebels were able to obtain local food supplies without the threat of skirmishing with the old bluecoats.
Well, he still hoped to draw the Federals into a pitched battle, crushing them and forcing them to abandon Knoxville. It's not going to happen.
No.
Therefore, Longstreet decided to remain in East Tennessee. His immediate plan was to encircle Shackelford's forces at Bean Station. To do this, the Confederates would advance in 3 columns in order to catch the Union cavalrymen in a vice. Despite its name, Bean Station was not a depot on the East Tennessee and Virginia Railroad.
No.
Rather, it was a convenient stopping place where a road from Cumberland Gap met the Great Warpath of the Cherokees.
Well, that's disappointing.
Right. It's still got probably general store and all that good stuff on it, I'm assuming.
You think so? A saloon?
Everything's a saloon.
Right. By 1825, a 52-room hotel was located at the site. Damn. And there were about 20 houses in the area in 1863. To the north was Clinch Mountain, which ran northeast to southwest. From Bean Station, a road snaked north across the Clinch Mountain before continuing to Tazewell and the Cumberland Gap. Another good road ran southwest to Rutledge, Blaines Crossroads, and Knoxville. Shackelford's cavalry defended a narrow valley that was bounded on the north by Clinch Mountain and on the south by Big Ridge, which was the lower part.
The Big Little Ridge. Longstreet ordered Brigadier General William T. Martin to move 2 cavalry divisions along the south bank of the Holston River until they were west of Bean Station, then cross the river and block the valley behind Shackelford's force. Brigadier General William E. Grumble Jones was directed to move his cavalry brigade along the north side of the Clinch Mountain to prevent the Union troops from escaping to the north. Longstreet's column, headed by Colonel Henry L. Giltner's cavalry brigade and Johnson's 2 infantry brigades, would attack Bean Station frontally. So left, right, front, pretty much. Right?
Got to get done. The weather was clear and cold, December 5th to 12th, but it rained hard for a day and a half, causing the Holston River and other streams to rise and muddying the roads. Nothing but cold, muddy roads. That'd be terrible.
And they already don't have good shoes.
All right. Longstreet decided to carry out his planned attack in spite of the foul weather. He ordered his soldiers to cook 3 days' rations in preparation for the forward move. 13th of December, Longstreet sent Giltner's cavalry and Brigadier General Benjamin Humphrey's infantry to within 3 miles of Bean Station, which involved a 24-mile round-trip march in the rain. Damn, dude, I wonder why these guys get the battle and they're like, screw it, I don't want to fight.
This probe confirmed the presence of Shackelford's cavalry. Several Confederates were captured in the skirmishing and interrogated. Shackelford learned that an attack was imminent. He notified Park that Longstreet was, quote-unquote, in our front. And he also sent out the 1st Kentucky Cavalry Regiment to screen his front and set up pickets on the Morristown and Rogersville roads. December 14th, both Park and Brigadier General Robert Brown Potter, commander of the 9th Corps, visited Shackelford at Bean Station. Burnside's chief engineer, Captain Orlando Metcalf Poe, who was also there to find positions near Bean Station to fortify.
Oh, okay. Wow. Morning of 14th December. Longstreet's troops began their 16-mile march to Bean Station in the rain. Giltner assigned 100 horsemen from the 4th Kentucky Cavalry to lead the column. Following Giltner's cavalry in order were the infantry divisions of Johnson, McLaws, and Brigadier General Micah Jenkins. Altogether, Longstreet's column was made up of about 12,000 soldiers. About 2 p.m., Park, Shackelford, and Potter from the old Bluecoats and other officers had lunch. after which Poe traveled north on the Tazewell Road. Cool.
I'm gonna know what they're doing. Soon afterward, one of Shackelford's brigade commanders, Lieutenant Colonel Emery S. Bond, reported that Confederates encountered his outpost 3 miles northeast on the Rogersville Road. Bond's troopers made a fighting withdrawal, compelling their opponents to commit part of Brigadier General Archibald Gracie's infantry brigade. Shackelford commanded about 5,000 men organized into 5 brigades that included both cavalry and mounted infantry regiments. So, cavalry.
That's cool. Right? One unit, the 8th Michigan Cavalry, was armed with the Spencer repeating rifle. Shackelford deployed Colonel Frank Wolford's division to the south of the main road. 2 of Wolford's brigades, those of Bond and Lieutenant Colonel Silas Adams, they were posted on a commanding hill. Wolford's 3rd Brigade, under Colonel Charles Pennebaker, was placed to the left rear of the other 2. 45th Ohio Infantry, they were mounted, was held in reserve. Colonel John Foster's division was deployed north of the main road.
All right, then we had Colonel Israel Garrard's brigade. He held the center, while Colonel Horace Capron's brigade defended the left flank on a hill with a church and a cemetery on it. 5 companies of Colonel John H. Ward's 27th Kentucky Infantry, which was also mounted, took position inside the Bean Station Hotel.
Okay.
Union artillery unlimbered west of the hotel on both sides of the road. Gracie from the old ribs. His Alabama brigade deployed north of the main road, while Johnson's Tennessee brigade under Colonel John S. Fulton lined up to the south of the road.
Oh, shit. All right. Early in the action, O'Gracie was stuck in the old forearm by a bullet and compelled to relinquish command.
It's only a forearm.
Right. Colonel Edward Porter Alexander, he directed Captain Osmond B. Taylor's Virginia Battery to deploy its 4 12-pound Napoleons north of the main road, and Captain William Parker's Virginia Battery to take position south of the road. Both batteries mainly targeted the Federal artillery, but Johnson asked one section of Parker's guns to fire at the dismounted Union cavalry. Parker's battery was armed with 4 10-pounder Parrott rifles. Nice.
All right. When Fulton's troop charged the hill, Wolford's men responded with enough fire to force the Confederates to lie prone. Oh, shit. However, after a few minutes, Fulton's men advanced again and caused Wolford's soldiers to waver. Shackelford ordered the 45th Ohio Forward from reserve to stiffen the line.
Okay.
Wolford rode along his line, waving his hat, and the Union soldiers held their ground.
Oh, look at that. It's a moral fucking sport.
Right. Gracie's brigade moved toward the hotel, but had to stop after going about a quarter of a mile. Led by Colonel John W. A. Sanford and the 60th Alabama Infantry, Gracie's soldiers advanced again until they were within 200 yards of the Union defense line, where they were again brought to a stand by heavy gunfire.
Yeah. At this very time, old Longstreet ordered Johnson to make an all-out push. Johnson personally encouraged Fulton's men, and they drove Wolford's soldiers off the hill. Wolford's troops assumed a new position about 200 yards southwest of the hotel. As Fulton's troops moved in to pursue, they were struck by enfilade fire coming from the hotel, and then they stopped. Soldiers on Fulton's right flank, they fired at this hotel.
I bet they would. The 60th Alabama was badly hit by rifle fire coming from Federals on the second and third stories of the hotel. Nevertheless, the regiment advanced again to a large stable only 50 yards from the hotel, where they took cover. At this time, 2 Alabamians were killed and 2 wounded by friendly artillery fire that targeted the stable. No. Somewhat later, the 43rd and 59th Alabama Infantry in skirmish order moved forward to the right of the 60th Alabama.
Okay, somewhat later.
Good for you, huh?
Brigadier General Joseph Kershaw's brigade of McLaw's division, they arrived on the field and was directed to the right of Gracie's brigade. About 4 p.m., Kershaw formed the 8th and 15th South Carolina Infantry regiments about 700 yards from the northern hill. 2 regiments advanced and drove Capron's brigade from that very hill. Kershaw saw that by advancing another 300 yards, the 2 units might strike Garrard's brigade and the hotel from the very rear. Meanwhile, McLaws ordered Brigadier General Goodbryan to support Kershaw.
Goodbryan. Alexander moved some batteries from his battalion to the northern hill where they were good firing positions. However, Longstreet denied him permission to open fire for fear of hitting Kershaw's troops. Good for you.
Right.
Longstreet ordered Jenkins to assist Johnson's division, and then Jenkins sent Brigadier General George T. Anderson's brigade to the extreme left flank, but darkness fell before it could accomplish anything. About 150 Federals from the 27th Kentucky still held out in the hotel, though they were under fire from 3 directions.
Their hotel.
So burn it down.
Right. 45th, 59th Alabama were to the north. 60th Alabama east. Fulton's right flank was to the south. Johnson ordered one section of Parker's guns moved to within about 350 yards of the hotel, and 2 shots were fired into the hotel before Gracie's brigade rushed forward. Ward, from the old Blue Coats, he ordered the hotel evacuated before his men were trapped. Either the 8th or the 9th Michigan Cavalry Regiments, lost in the dark, blundered into the Confederates closing in on the hotel and unwittingly helped the 27th Kentucky to escape. Oh. Even so, 3 Kentucky soldiers were captured in the cellar.
Right, they probably didn't even know. They were like,
getting
shit.
drunk.
Right. Shackelford's troops got away in the darkness, though their retreat was very confused. In the chaos, 4 Confederates came to Shackelford's headquarters to ask where to find Gracie's brigade. The hell? They're like, hey, man, you know where I can find Gracie's brigade? Kershaw's brigade was unable to carry out its planned attack due to nightfall, though it captured enough bacon to feed its men for a day. All right. Got some bacon, damn it. All right. The victorious Confederates also found abandoned saddles and other cavalry equipment. They also saw a line of campfires, but upon inspection, they found no Union soldiers present. The fires were apparently lit by the Federals as a diversion.
I'm sure they were.
It worked.
Longstreet's encircling movement was tactically sound, finally, but it ultimately did not succeed, as we've been seeing lately with this guy. Martin mishandled his part of the operation, though. His 2 cavalry divisions advanced through Morristown, but were blocked at Mays Ford by a small force of Union cavalry. About 11 p.m., defenders were forced to retreat after being shelled by 2 of Martin's artillery batteries. However, Martin did not try to cross the difficult ford that very night, and it was early on the 15th of December before his 2 divisions reached the Holston River's north bank.
All right, as Poe and a small party of Federals rode north from Bean Station on the afternoon of the 14th, they were nearly captured by Jones's cavalrymen. Poe's party warned a wagon train's commander that Confederate horsemen were nearby and managed to reach safety at Tazewell. However, a half hour later, Jones's brigade captured 25 Federal wagons carrying sugar and coffee for the 9th Corps. Oh, they're pissed.
Right.
For unknown reasons, Jones never completed his part of the envelopment of Shackelford's force. I got coffee and sugar.
Right. Crazy.
It's going nowhere.
117th Indiana Infantry Regiment, 6th-month unit. It was repairing the road.
So they thought.
Right. It was repairing the road over Clinch Mountain that went north from Bean Station to Tazewell. Its commander, Colonel Thomas Brady,
Oh, shit.
heard the sounds from Jones' attack on the wagon train on the north side, as well as the racket from the fight at Bean Station to the south. Brady sent 5 companies downhill to the wagon train's assistance, but the train surrendered before they arrived. They were withdrawn to stop some Confederates that Jones sent up the slope farther east.
There was a brief skirmish before Jones decided to pull his men back. As evening fell, Brady realized that his regiment was isolated, and he ordered his soldiers to abandon their equipment and retreat. 9 p.m., the 117th Indiana began firing southwest along the crest of Clinch Mountain. They reached Rutledge the next day, reuniting with other Federal forces. The next morning, McLaws sent Brigadier General Benjamin Humphrey's brigade around to round up the Union soldiers reported to be on Clinch Mountain. Except for 12 prisoners, their quarry was long gone. Damn, they left the Confederate prisoners there. They're like, somebody will come. But the Confederates helped themselves to 400 blankets, 34 mules, 6 wagons, plus overcoats, canteens, and other gear that their opponents left behind.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty good for them.
Yeah. They made it.
Now they don't have to feed people that they potentially could have captured.
Right.
And they got all that shit to themselves.
Yeah, fantastic. Johnson, he reported that his division suffered 222 casualties, including 60 from Fulton's brigade, 162 from Gracie's. Kershaw reported 62 casualties, counting losses from other units. Earl J. Hess stated that the total Confederate loss was 290 men. Shackelford's official losses were 115 killed, wounded, and missing. Federals also lost 12 men captured from the 117th Indiana, and an unknown number from the wagon train. O.J. Ricard, he stated that the Union lost 700 casualties, with Confederate losses numbered 900.
All right, National Park Service listed 115 Union and 222 Confederate casualties. Longstreet had 12,000 men available, but only 4,200 soldiers came into action.
Wow.
Shackelford's Union force counted about 5,000.
Why not? You got 12,000. Bring them in.
Well,
all of them.
Longstreet wrote, why? He won the battle with what he had.
I don't care.
He wrote, Longstreet did. We were looking for a large capture more than a fight. Yeah, he wanted to get rid of these soldiers.
Right.
Let's send out your other guys then, right? Johnson admitted that the Federals fought persistently and gallantly, though. Alexander wrote that the action had been bloody for its duration, and our side had the worst of it.
Ooh. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do, man?
All right.
Park ordered his infantry to march toward Bean Station. Brigadier General Milo Haskell's infantry division. He met Shackelford's retreating mounted force at the 2:30 a.m. on the 15th December. Combined forces moved to defensive position about half a mile east of Godwin's house, and the men began building a breastwork of fence rails across the valley. The position was 3 miles west of Bean Station, 5 miles east of Rutledge. Shackelford, Haskell, they requested Park to send forward Potter's 9th Corps.
Yeah, Park did so.
Oh.
Also ordered Granger's 4th Corps at Knoxville to join them. Jenkins' division, now leading Longstreet's column, approached the new Union position at 9 a.m. December 15th. After conducting a reconnaissance, Jenkins ordered Anderson to skirmish, while Colonel John Bratton's brigade tried to turn the Federals' northern flank, and Brigadier General Henry Benning's brigade turned the south flank. Both flanking attempts failed.
Of course it did. Wow. Brigades of Brigadier Generals Vander Law, Jerome Robertson, finally reached the Godwin's House position at 2:30 p.m. from the old Reb side. Earlier, these units guarded Longstreet's wagon train, but they were ordered forward on the 13th of December. Longstreet, he criticized Law for their tardy appearance. McLaws remained at the Bean Station, citing that he needed to feed his soldiers. By late afternoon, Martin marched from Mays Ford to the ridge on the Union right flank. After a strenuous effort, Martin's artillerists hauled their guns up the slope and opened an enfilading fire on the old Bluecoats.
Well, galled by this barrage, the Union force abandoned its position at dusk. Unfortunately for the Confederates, there was no communication between Martin and Jenkins, so their efforts were not coordinated. Historian Douglas Southall Freeman remarked that pursuit was attempted, but futile. Longstreet maintained because Vander Law was slow and Lafayette McLaws was loath to move before bread was issued to hungry men. I mean, I get McLaws, man. You got to feed your soldiers. You stop feeding these guys. Right. You're going to be like, fuck you, I'm not fighting.
Exactly. 15th of December had seen mild and dry weather that day. The following day turned cold, though. That 16th December is just a terrible day. The retreating Union soldiers passed through Rutledge before dawn, and they reached a position 2 miles east of Blaine's Crossroads by early afternoon on the 16th of December. Parke's forces included the troops of Shackelford, Haskell, and Potter. Granger's troops arrived later in the afternoon as the troops constructed a breastwork of fence rails. Longstreet's men reached the new Federal defenses, and that night saw heavy rain. Damn, cold rain.
Yep, December 17th, there was an artillery duel and skirmishing all day as Parke's men dug trenches. Damn. Cavalry reinforcement led by Brigadier General Washington Elliott reached Parke. Elliott brought 2,500 cavalry and 6 guns from the Army of the Cumberland. Longstreet claimed that his opponents were greatly demoralized and in some confusion. Disappointed that he failed to score a significant victory, he lashed out at his subordinates.
Right. I mean, this dude wants something here, and he ain't getting it.
Right.
Longstreet realized that the Federals had entrenched themselves beyond eviction. That very night, Longstreet ordered a withdrawal to the east amid bitterly cold weather. Longstreet soon placed his troops into winter quarters at Russellville. Hess asserted that Bean Station proved to be a barren of strategic values for the Confederates. 17th of December, Longstreet removed McLaws from the command of his division and later filed charges for a court-martial.
He's really pissed at these guys.
You ain't getting. Longstreet and McLaws had been friends, and this dispute permanently soured their relationship. Ultimately, McLaws was acquitted. Longstreet also preferred charges against Law and Robertson. Dude, it was you. You alone.
Well, but Law was kind of lazy. I mean, he didn't have his troops there in time. I can see McLaws, but Law, I mean, come on.
Right.
Which leads us to the last battle of the episode and of the year of 1863, which is the Battle of Mossy Creek, which is a really quick one. And it was a minor battle occurring December 29th, 1863 in Jefferson County, Tennessee. Union Brigadier General Samuel Sturgis, while encamped at Mossy Creek and forward towards Talbot Station, received a report on the night of the 28th that a brigade of Confederate cavalry had gone into camp that afternoon near Dandridge, south of Mossy Creek. Surmising that the enemy force was split, Sturgis decided to defeat and possibly capture the encamped enemy cavalry. To accomplish this, he ordered a portion of his troops out of Mossy Creek and Talbot Station towards Dandridge. After these forces had departed, Major General William T. Martin, commander of Lieutenant James Longstreet's Confederate cavalry, encamped at Panther Creek near Morristown, and they attacked the small Federal force at Talbot Station at 9 a.m. December 29th.
All right. Federals slowly fell back to Mossy Creek. Sturgis, he sent messages to his subordinates on the way to Dandridge. He sent messages to return promptly if they found no enemy there. The Confederates, they advanced on Mossy Creek, driving the old Federals in front of them. Finding no enemy forces in Dandridge, the Union troops hastily returned to Mossy Creek and joined this very battle.
Good for them.
Around 3 p.m., the old Bluecoats began driving the old Rebs back out of Mossy Creek toward Talbot Station and Panther Creek. By dark, the Confederates were back to their original location at Panther Creek. Wow.
Union pursuit was not mounted that night, but it was late in the season. Martin chose to retreat from the area back towards Morristown for the winter. After the victory at Mossy Creek, the Union held the line about Talbot Station for some time. Battle lasted about 7 hours. Approximately 500 Union and Confederate soldiers altogether were killed or wounded.
Dang.
And that, my Confederate and Union friends, is the end of 1863.
And they go out trading battles.
They do, back and forth for the last 4 battles. Oh, my. Well, the battles weren't so back and forth for the year of 1863.
It was not.
Union won 61 out of however many. They won
93.
They won 61, lost 32, tied 19 to the old Federals, with 6 A battles won to the Confederates 2, 13 B's to 7, 13 C's to 10, 24 D's to, see those D's add up though. 24 D's to 8, and another 5 to 5 not ranked. Wow. Making the overall total for the first 2 years, 138 wins for the Union to 89 for the Confederates.
Wow.
And 16 A's to 9 for the Confederates. Wow.
Dominating that. All of them except for C. The D battles are just kicking freaking arse. Shit. No Rebs, they don't care about the D battles?
To this date, there's only been 1 A battle that's been inconclusive the whole war. That's pretty good. Can't be having those big important battles inconclusive now, right. Can ya? Coming up next week, we'll have the Battle of Dandridge, as we just spoke of. Wait a minute. So he does go back to Dandridge. There's some people that end up there. That's in Tennessee. And then we'll have the Battle of Athens in Alabama, and most likely the Battle of Fair Garden in Tennessee as well, which I'm sure at least those 3, maybe more, depending on. Actually, yeah, I did look it up. Battle of Morton's Ford we'll also have, and the Battle of Middle Boggy Depot, as literally all of these are like 2 paragraphs apiece. So not much. I guess our next major battle coming up is the Battle of Mansfield up in April 8th. And that's not even a real big one in terms of information. What other A battle we got? The Battle of the Wilderness, I think, was a big one. Yeah, the Battle of the Wilderness, our biggest battle, I think, of the year, besides Appomattox Courthouse, which isn't really, no, that's not until 1865 anyway, so maybe the Battle of Nashville, or the Battle of Franklin in Tennessee, or the Battle of Westport, or maybe even the Battle of Cedar Creek. Hell, it could even be the Battle of Opequan, or the Battle of Jonesboro, or the Battle of Mobile Bay, or the Battle of Crater, or the Battle of Petersburg. Either or. That's it for us and 1863, 1864 incoming, rounding up the last full year of the war. Well, not rounding up, but starting the last full year of the war. And
look at the old Rebs dominated February of 1864.
Rebs actually fare a lot better. Still losing overall battles in 1864, but a lot closer than it was in 1863. Nevertheless, that'll all be coming up on the battles of the American Civil War.
What you call it, garbage yards.
Right. Defense is playing prevent. YouTube at Bang Dang Network. Give us a subscription. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify or any other podcast apps that allow reviews, give us a nice little review. And we shall be back next week for about 5 more battles of the battles of the American Civil War. We are the month of Michigan. Bang Dang.